Something is coming. Can you feel it? Shift in the air, a weight pressing against the world's soul. For many, life feels predictable, one day folding into the next, plans carefully laid out, the future appearing steady and controlled. But what if I told you that 2025 will not go as planned? What if I told you that God is about to interrupt, to disrupt, to rebuild, to take everything you expected and turn it upside down? Because that is what He does. He does not fit into the small boxes we create for Him. He does not move according to human schedules. And when He decides to act, He does so in ways that no one, not the wise, not the powerful, not even the most faithful, sees coming. This year many will be shaken, but those who are watching, those who are listening, will recognize the signs. They will understand that what seems like loss is actually grace, that what seems like confusion is actually divine order, and that God's greatest surprises always lead to something far greater than what we would have chosen for ourselves. At first it will feel like disappointment. Doors will close that were supposed to stay open. The job that seemed certain will slip away. The relationship that felt unshakable will begin to unravel. The plans carefully crafted over years will suddenly collapse in a matter of days. And the first instinct will be to question, to grieve, to wonder why God would allow such things to happen. But He is not closing these doors to punish. He is closing them to protect, to prepare, to redirect. Joseph was thrown into a pit, then into slavery, then into prison. Each time a door slammed shut. Each time his life seemed to shrink instead of expand. But what he couldn't see was that every no was leading him toward the one yes that would change history. In 2025, many will grieve what they've lost, not realizing that God is leading them to something they never would have chosen, but something they were created for. And then something strange will start happening. People will find themselves in encounters they cannot explain. A stranger will say something so precise, so piercing, that it will feel as though heaven itself had sent them. A conversation that should have been ordinary will linger in the mind for days, pressing against the heart like an unshakable truth. A song will play at exactly the right moment, carrying a message so personal that it will feel like God Himself reached through the noise to speak. This is how He moves. Think of Moses tending sheep in the wilderness, never expecting to see a bush burning with the presence of God. Think of Saul, who was on his way to destroy Christians when a blinding light changed everything. Think of the Samaritan woman who went to the well for water and instead found herself face to face with the Messiah. These encounters are not coincidence. They are invitations. And for those who recognize them, everything will change. And then for many there will be a shift, sudden, unexplainable. One moment life will be ordinary. The next, nothing will ever be the same again. A single phone call, a decision made in a distant office, a door that was firmly shut one day swinging wide open the next. This is how God moves when the time is right. He does not take years to shift a destiny, He does it in a moment. 1 minute Peter was a fisherman. The next he was walking on water. 1 minute Gideon was hiding in fear. The next he was leading an army. 1 minute Saul was a persecutor of Christians. The next he was Paul, a builder of the church. Some will be afraid of this sudden change. Some will hesitate, uncertain if they are truly ready. But those who trust will find that they are stepping into something they never imagined possible. And then the breaking will come. This will be the part that feels the hardest. God will take away what no longer belongs, not as punishment, but as preparation. The comforts once relied upon will begin to fall away. The illusions of control will be shattered. People will be forced to confront what they have placed their trust in, whether it is money, status, relationships, or their own strength. And for some it will feel like loss, like a wilderness too painful to endure. But look at Job. Look at David in exile. Look at Jesus on the cross. What appears to be an ending is often the beginning of something eternal. Some will resist this process, clinging to what is fading. But those who surrender will find that what God removes, He replaces with something unshakable. And then the most shocking thing of all will happen. God will raise up people no one expected. They will not be the powerful, the famous, or the ones the world has chosen. They will be the forgotten, the overlooked, the ones who were counted out. The prisoner who finds redemption will speak with more authority than a scholar. The woman who once lived in shame will become a voice of freedom. The teenager dismissed as too young will speak words that shake nations. Because God does not choose as men choose. He does not look at resumes. He does not seek the polished and the perfect. He raises up those who have been through the fire, those who have been refined, those who no one ever expected to be chosen. And when they speak, the world will know it is not them, but the Spirit within them. So here we are, on the edge of a year that will not be ordinary. A year where God will close doors, change plans, remove false securities, and raise up the ones the world never saw coming. The question is not if God will move. The question is, will you recognize it? Will you hold on when He takes something away, trusting that He is making room for something greater? Will you listen when He speaks in whispers? Will you step forward when the moment comes, even when fear tells you to stay behind? Because God's plans for you in 2025 will shock you. But if you are willing to trust, to surrender, to embrace what He is doing, you will not just be a witness to His power. You will be a part of it. Are you ready? If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Soul Scriptures, share this video, and let others hear what God is doing. Someone you know needs this today. Be the voice that brings them hope. There will be moments this year when everything you counted on will slip through your fingers. A door you were certain would stay open will slam shut. The job you needed, the relationship you prayed for, the future you mapped out, it will all change in a way you never expected. And for a moment it will feel like failure. It will feel like abandonment. It will feel as though God has turned His face away. But He hasn't. He is moving, and when He moves, He removes what is lesser to make way for what is greater. Joseph had a dream of greatness, yet his life spiraled into slavery and prison. If he had judged God's plan by his circumstances, he would have believed the dream was a lie. But the pit was not his end, it was his passage. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him. Psalm 37, 23-24. The closed doors are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of something far greater than you could imagine. And then, out of nowhere, something will happen. A conversation, a message, a dream, something so personal that it will feel as if heaven itself has leaned down to whisper in your ear. A stranger will say something they couldn't possibly have known you needed to hear. A song will play at just the right moment. A verse will appear in front of you, answering a question you never spoke aloud. God speaks this way. He interrupted Moses with fire in the wilderness. He called Samuel in the stillness of the night. He met a broken woman at a well with words that shattered every lie she had believed about herself. And in 2025, He will do the same for many. And when He moves, it will be sudden. One moment, life will be ordinary. The next, nothing will ever be the same. Peter was just a fisherman until he stepped out of a boat and onto the waves. Saul was a persecutor until light from heaven blinded him and gave him new sight. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. And the ones He will use, not the expected, not the polished, the broken, the forgotten, the ones who never saw it coming. You will be walking through an ordinary day thinking about ordinary things when suddenly something shifts. A stranger will say words so precise, so piercing, that they will feel like they were crafted just for you. A dream will wake you in the middle of the night, lingering in your soul like an unfinished sentence from heaven. A verse, a phrase, a song, something small, something seemingly random will strike with such force that it will leave you breathless. And in that moment you will know. You will know that this was not chance, that you have been seen, that someone has been watching, listening, waiting for the exact moment to speak in a way that would finally reach you. This is how He moves. This is how He has always moved. Moses was tending sheep when he saw a bush burning but not consumed. Just another day, another task, until fire itself spoke his name. Moses, Moses. Exodus 3:4. Saul was on his way to destroy the people of God when light struck him blind and a voice thundered from the heavens. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Acts 9, the Samaritan woman, simply drawing water when she met a man who knew everything she had ever done and yet did not condemn her. None of them woke up that morning expecting an encounter that would change their lives. But God does not wait for an invitation. He steps in. He disrupts. He speaks when least expected and makes sure that His voice cannot be ignored. And it is happening now. There are people in 2025 who will have their entire lives altered by a single moment. A man will be sitting alone, wrestling with silent battles, when someone he has never met will speak the exact words he needs to hear. A woman, tired and full of doubt, will feel an undeniable presence in her room, breaking through years of unbelief. A child will utter something so profound that it will silence the room, leaving adults stunned at the wisdom they should not yet possess. These encounters will not be explainable, but they will be undeniable. The Lord looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. Psalm 14:2. And when He sees a heart ready, even in the smallest way, He speaks. One moment, everything is as it has always been. The same routine, the same expectations, the same ordinary life unfolding as it always has. And then, without warning, everything shifts. A phone call, a conversation, a decision made in a distant office that changes everything. A door that was locked tight suddenly swings open. A life that seemed set on one path is, in an instant, hurled in a completely different direction. God moves like this, swiftly, unexpectedly, decisively. Peter was just a fisherman, casting nets into the sea as he had done 1,000 times before. But then a voice called out, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Matthew 4:19. And in a moment everything changed. One minute he was walking on solid ground, the next he was stepping onto water, defying the very laws of nature. Saul was convinced he knew his purpose. He was a man of power, a man of certainty, a man with a mission. But in the span of a single breath, everything collapsed around him. Light from heaven struck him blind, and the voice of the one he had been persecuting spoke his name. "Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." Acts 9:6. He had woken that morning believing he was on the right path. By nightfall he could not even see where he was going. This is what happens when God decides it is time. He does not wait for permission. He does not move slowly. He does not check schedules or give advance warning. And in 2025, it will happen again. A man will walk into work expecting another ordinary day, only to leave that same evening with an opportunity that will change everything. A woman will receive an unexpected call, and in one conversation, the course of her life will shift in a direction she never imagined. A family will pack up and move to a place they never intended, unaware that heaven itself has orchestrated every step. "See, I am doing a new thing." Some will resist, some will hesitate, but those who recognize the shift, who trust the sudden, unexpected movement of God, will step into a future they never could have planned, yet one they were created for all along. No one saw them coming. They were not the polished, not the powerful, not the ones the world had chosen. They did not have titles or wealth or influence. In fact, many had been cast aside, dismissed, forgotten. Yet when God moved, it was their voices that shook the earth. It has always been this way. A shepherd boy, too young to fight, too small to be noticed, was anointed king while his own father barely remembered to call him from the fields. A fearful man hiding in a winepress was named a mighty warrior before he had lifted a single sword. A young girl, unknown and unimportant in the eyes of the world, was chosen to carry the Savior of all mankind. David, Gideon, Mary, none of them were the expected choice, yet God does not choose as man chooses. He does not look for credentials. He looks for surrender. He does not seek perfection. He seeks a willing heart. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. And in 2025, He will do it again. He will call the ones no one is watching, the ones who have been told they are not enough, the ones who have been counted out. A man once wrecked by addiction will rise with a voice that cannot be silenced. A woman who has known nothing but rejection will be used to lead others into healing. A teenager, too young to be taken seriously, will speak words that carry more weight than the voices of kings. The world will be shocked. They will ask, "Who are these people? Where did they come from?" But those with eyes to see will know the answer. They have been refined in the fire. They have walked through pain, through loss, through battles that should have destroyed them. But instead of breaking them, it prepared them. He lifted the poor from the dust and the needy from the garbage dump. He sets them among princes, placing them in seats of honor. Psalm 113:7-8. This is how God works, and when these voices rise, the world will not be able to deny it. Because when God places fire in a man's bones, no power on earth can put it out. And so here we stand on the edge of something far greater than we can see. The Holy Spirit is moving. The signs are unfolding before us, shaping lives in ways no one expected. Some feel it already, an unshakable restlessness, a whisper in their spirit, a sense that the ordinary will not last. Others are about to be caught completely off guard. Because this is not a year for standing still. This is not a year for playing it safe. The days of passive faith, of quiet, comfortable belief, are fading away. A new season is beginning, and it will not wait for permission. The Spirit of God is stirring, calling, and awakening those who are willing to listen. Some will resist. Some will try to hold on to what is fading. Some will ignore the whispers, dismiss the encounters, and cling to comfort while the world around them is being transformed. Some will say nothing is changing. They will look at the same routines, the same struggles, and assume that the silence means nothing is happening. But silence does not mean absence. A seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. It grows beneath the surface, unseen, until the time is right. And when God's appointed time arrives, change will come faster than anyone imagined. There will be moments this year that shake people to their core. A door will close that was never supposed to shut. A plan will unravel, leaving someone standing in the wreckage of what they thought their life would be. But for those who trust, who refuse to see loss as the end of the story, something far greater will rise from the ashes. Because God never removes without replacing. He never takes without preparing something better. For some, the shift will be sudden. One moment they will be walking in the same direction they always have, and in an instant their path will change forever. A conversation, a decision, an opportunity that seemed impossible one moment will alter everything. Just as Peter was an ordinary fisherman one moment and walking on water the next, just as Saul was hunting Christians one day and preaching the gospel the next, lives will be rewritten in an instant. And then there will be those whom no one saw coming, the voices that rise from the least expected places, the ones who were overlooked, broken, cast aside, now speaking with power and authority no man could have given them. They will not be the polished, the famous, the ones the world would have chosen. They will be the ones refined in fire, the ones who walked through storms and came out stronger, the ones who should have been destroyed but instead were prepared. The world will look at them and ask, who are these people? Where did they come from? But those who have eyes to see will know the answer. They were in the wilderness. They were in the places no one paid attention to. They were wrestling with doubt, with fear, with pain, thinking they had been forgotten. But in the unseen places, God was shaping them, preparing them, filling them with a fire that could not be extinguished. And now they are ready. This is the year when everything changes. For some, this message will be ignored. They will go on as they always have, waiting, doubting, resisting the pull of something greater. But for others, those who feel the stirring, those who recognize that something is shifting, this will be the moment they step into something they never imagined possible. This is the year of the unexpected, the year of divine interruptions, the year when the least likely become the most anointed. And when it happens, the world will have no choice but to recognize that it was never man's doing, it was always God's hand. And so I ask you, are you ready? Because whether you are or not, the shift has already begun. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Soul Scriptures, share this video, and let someone else hear what God is doing.